G'day everyone, it's Emma Jane here from Life in Kafoople Land. Today I'm doing the second episode of the Teaching Around the World series tag. If you haven't seen my first episode, I will link it underneath this one. And this series, here's my puppy. This series was started by myself and two other fantastic teacher tubers called Nick from A Happy Teacher, True Story, and also Alyssa from the Emerging Educator. So we've been really excited to have a couple of other people join in on this tag series, so we'd love to have more people on board as well. So if you teach in a different area or in a different country, we would love to see you join in. Just join in wherever. You can start on episode 2, doesn't matter, wherever you can. So I will put the list of questions underneath this video as well. And yeah, I look forward to hearing your answers as well. So I'm representing Australia and New South Wales, the state that I live in. So I'm going to go through and answer the questions. The pathway of formal education in our country is children start school at about the age of 5 and they start primary school. We have two sections. We have primary school and high school, and that's it. In primary school, it's usually K to 6. That first year of school in New South Wales and the ACT is called kindergarten, or kindy or kinder, and in others it's called different things in all different states. So in Queensland, Victoria and Tasmania it's called prep. In the Northern Territory it's called transition. In South Australia it's called reception, and in WA it's called pre-primary. So that's just the first year of school, and then primary school goes up to year 6 or grade 6. Then high school goes from grade 7 to grade 12, or year 7 to year 12, depending on what state you live in. In Australia, our school year is organised from January through to December. We start at the end of January and we go through to mid to late December, depending on where you teach and what school system you work in. That year is then divided up into 4 terms, which are roughly 10 weeks each in length. And in between each term we get a 2-week break, and then at the end of the year we get a 5 to 6 week break, depending again on what school system you work in and what state you work in. But that's the general idea. Teachers are employed in various different ways. I will speak from the New South Wales perspective. So we basically have kind of 3 main categories, I guess you would say. And again, it depends on your school system. So I work for the public system, so I'll speak from that context. So in the public system in New South Wales, we have permanent staff, which is what I am. So I'm on a salary and I get that figure every year. I'm at the top of the salary scale now. I get that sum of money every year. We also have casual teachers who are employed on a temporary basis, and they have a contract system. So they may be employed for, say, 1 term or 2 terms or a year or what have you, but their contract has a starting point and a finishing point. We also have what we call day-to-day casuals or casual relief, and they come in, as the name suggests, on a day-to-day basis as needed. They may be employed for, say, a week or something like that, but it's really to do with the payment, the way that they're paid. So they're paid per day, and the pay scale is adjusted because of that as well. The types of schools that exist in our country, there are basically 3 types. So we have the public education system, or government schools, and then we have the Catholic school system, and then we have independent schools, so the independent school system. As I said before, I work for the public school system, and it is organised through the states. So I work for New South Wales, and you know what, I might look up these stats because it's really interesting. It's a massive employer, and it has, you know, thousands and thousands of teachers across the whole state who work for them, so we get paid by them. And oh, there's my puppy, look, he's down there. Oh, he's so naughty. Here's my other dog, Molly. Molly, can you turn around and say hello? Oh, Molly. Yeah, so in Australia we have a public education system where every child in Australia, the premise is every child in Australia deserves the right to a free education. And so that's what we provide. We provide that service for the children. We do have school contribution fees, which are pretty low in my opinion, and also as the children get older, and if they want to pick certain subjects that require a lot of equipment, a lot of supplies, then there's a subject contribution fee for those subjects as well. But we always, as far as money goes, we always have options for students who might be in a low socio area or low socio family, and they might struggle with even these small amounts of money. So it's really, I think it's really important to us as a nation to have the children educated, and so that's why the public school system exists, so that everybody has that same equal opportunity to get their education and to access resources and quality instruction all over the nation. I mean, I know in some areas it's probably not very easy to staff, and not easy to get good resources and stuff like that in remote areas, but that's the basic premise anyway. The structure of the school hierarchy, as in the chain of command, goes like this, and I'm a high school teacher, so I'm coming from it from that perspective. I'm a classroom teacher, so first of all there's a classroom teacher, which is a very, very important job, because you're at the chalk face making a difference every day. Then above that, in a high school, in the public school setting anyway, we have what's called head teachers. So a head teacher is in charge of managing the faculty of, say, the English faculty where I work. Our head teacher is in charge of 6 teachers, and just making sure that behaviour is okay with the students, classroom management is fine, that we have the equipment and the resources that we need. All of the organisational and administration responsibilities of that particular faculty fall on the head teacher. I have relieved as head teacher several times, and I really enjoy that role as well. Above the head teacher is the deputy principal, or DP, and he or she is in charge of a lot of discipline issues that are more severe than at a faculty level, and he or she does a lot of other stuff that I never want to have to do. Then, of course, above the deputy principal is the principal. Basic qualifications that are required of teachers is a university degree in education. I have a Bachelor of Education, which took me 4 years to get. You can also do, there are other pathways as well, like you might get a diploma of teaching after you've done a Bachelor of Arts or something else. Recently I have heard about Teach for Australia, which is basically a new idea, and it's not been released in every state yet, so I don't feel qualified to talk about it because I don't know a lot about it, but I find it a really interesting idea. Mandatory curriculum requirements. So in New South Wales we have a board which has just recently changed its name again to NESA, which stands for New South Wales Education Standards Authority. What NESA does is heaps of stuff. So they provide us with our curriculum, our syllabi for our subject areas, for the key learning areas. They also are in charge of testing. So we have, in New South Wales, we have statewide testing. I haven't forgotten about you, Mol. We have statewide testing for Year 12 students in their HSC, which stands for High School Certificate. That's their matriculation, and it's obviously it's an external exam which is run by these guys. They write the exams, so all the students have to be enrolled in all of the courses at the Year 12 level. These two questions kind of cross over, so I'll just go on to number 8, and it's about the standards that guide instruction in our school system. So because we're organised in states, we've always had, each state has their own curriculum or syllabi, and a few years ago they decided, okay, let's make an Australian curriculum. So they've done that. They've made an Australian curriculum for, I think, English, well, yes, English, but I think maths as well, and maybe a couple of other subjects. But then within the Australian curriculum, then you have an Australian curriculum, you have a version for New South Wales, a version for Queensland, and so on and so forth. Those syllabi contain outcomes. So it's outcome-based learning, and we have to obviously measure the students against the outcomes. So I guess I think from what I can tell, it's similar to standards in the United States. But yeah, we have outcomes. Oh, it's hard to describe. We do have flexibility in our teaching, obviously, because we've got to provide for the needs of our own students in our own area, in our own classroom. But we're all teaching the same curriculum. Like we all have the same syllabus. And I guess the curriculum, so let me say it this way. Across New South Wales, for example, we all have the same syllabus for our key learning area, and we all have the same outcomes. How we deliver that, of course, depends on our particular students and our particular context and circumstances and all of the other wonderful ingredients that go into the recipe of making a successful classroom. In Australia, we have NAPLAN, which is the testing system. It's a nationwide testing system, and students in years 3, 5, 7 and 9 every single year are tested in their literacy and their numeracy. When that first came in, there was a bit of an uproar with the teachers about it, and I still have certain opinions about it. However, that information can be quite useful, and it's interesting to compare results over time, and you're able to compare results. So as a parent, I receive information about my children and where they sit compared with the country. So that's really interesting as a parent. And also as a teacher, we get to see how each individual student performed, and then compare that with each other, and also the school with the state and the nation. Stats. So fascinating. Yeah, so that's episode 2 of Teaching Around the World. I just find education interesting, and I just want to see what it's like in other countries and in other areas, and even in other school systems. Like if there's a private school teacher who teaches in New South Wales, Australia, I'd love to hear your perspective on these questions. It'd be very interesting. Okay, you guys, if you enjoyed this video, could you do me a favour and hit that like button? Maybe if you're interested in seeing more videos from me, you could subscribe to my channel. That'd be totally awesome. And other than that, I shall see you next time. Hi everyone, it's Emma Jane here. Yeah, whatever. It's going to take me a while to warm up. I don't know, I'm just going to start again because I'm just going to say that sentence again. Okay, so contracts, they seem to have, well, they'd have to, I suppose. I don't know. I might just cut that whole bit out because I don't know what the hell I'm saying.